Well, I'd like to share a story now that I've just learned. Did you know Scuba Steve was offered a spot on The Real World officially
What?
back in the day? Did you know that?
No.
No,
Like on the Real World?
Scuba.
Yes. On the actual Real World. So this was, I think, 2007 when the internet was kind of popping.
Lunchbox has put his hand on his head. He is now distraught. Go ahead.
And the sad part is, I'll preface this, I had to turn it down. So they did.
What the heck you mean you had to turn it down? If you're applying for Real World, why would you ever turn it down?
It was for love.
Go ahead, Scuba.
So what had happened was they did an online submission for their last castmate on Real World Hollywood, which I've always wanted to be on some sort of reality television show at that point in time in my life. So we did this huge campaign. I was in a band, as we talked about before. And at every show, we promote to vote for me to the audience. I promoted on MySpace, like heavily. I got all kinds of people to vote for me. And I got to the top. And it was between me and another guy. They chose me. But at the same time, though, I was going out after this one girl who became my ex-wife. And she gave me the ultimatum, like, hey, you can either go this whole reality route, I'm out, or you choose me. I unfortunately chose her. I turned down Real World. They went with this other guy from Daytona Beach, Florida, and he ended up not doing really well on the show. But I turned it down for love, which was an awful mistake because I would have loved to have been on Real World.
Scuba Steve was offered a spot on The Real World.
That is the worst news I've ever heard in my life. Like, oh my gosh. Like, it makes me sick. Because I don't know how Scuba Steve is more interesting than me.
Oh, dude, I'm way more interested in you.
Okay.
Especially at that time of my life, I was the coolest kid on the block. I was in a rock band. I had a lot to offer.
The fact that he turned it down for a chick. Like, people that go on The Real World are so stupid when they go on with a girlfriend or boyfriend back home. Like, it's really going to work. You are there to party and to hook up. And I can't believe you turned it down for a chick. How dumb. Like, why would you go through the whole process if you have a girlfriend and you're going to turn it down because of her?
Well, I met her through that process when I was in the band. She was a bartender.
So you only
at one
knew
of the
her for
bars.
like a couple months?
A couple of weeks, actually.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. Guys, come on. How stupid can you be to turn something down that you've known for someone for 2 weeks?
It was pretty stupid. I admit
my
it.
God.
It was a dumb choice because obviously she's my ex-wife. She cheated on me. So it was a horrible decision to have gone with her versus the Real World.
I didn't know Scuba Steve was married twice.
Me neither. When he said
I knew that.
ex-wife a second ago,
I caught her
was
cheating on
like,
me on Ashley Madison.
Hold.
wait, what? I mean, Lunchbox. Sorry,
Steve
but
has so many interesting stories.
Yeah.
It's always it's like we're unwinding this most interesting man in radio.
And that's why he got offered a spot in
right.
The Real World.
I'm starting to.
I want to
believe
come.
that-
Do you talk about that story?
When it happened, yeah, because I was in San Francisco on the radio. It was like a whole.
Don't share too much. I want to
all
save
right.
it.
Yeah, it was a whole month play out. Like we just did a bunch of things with it. Yeah, that's how I found my new wife too. Was through that process.
Through Ashley Madison? Was she cheating on her guy?
No.
Okay, hold on. Scuba Steve, our executive producer, who comes on about once every couple days, but always with just like the perfect nugget. And today it was that he turned down Real World, and I knew it would drive Lunchbox crazy because that's been his biggest goal in life.
My biggest goal in life since I was like 12 years old, I'd watch Real World, Miami, Boston, San Francisco, and I was like, I'm going to be on that show or Road Rules, and it just never happened. And that means you could be on the challenge, Scuba.
I
Like,
know. Trust me, I'm killing myself about it too right now.
You could be going for millions of dollars in these competitions. Instead, you turned it down for a girl you knew for 2 weeks. And Hollywood was a terrible season anyway, so.
Do you want to get Scuba's autograph before I play a song?
No.
Okay. Earlier in the show, Scuba Steve mentioned he had been married once before. I didn't even know he'd been married before. Scuba Steve is our executive producer. He sits in the glass room. He kind of slides this out. And then he says his ex-wife cheated on him. And he caught her. So we've all just been sitting here waiting for the update on the story or just to let us know what happened. How did you catch your ex-wife cheating on you?
So I had this feeling that something was going down. Something wasn't right. She was working late nights. And
How long were you married?
less than a year. We had just moved from Orlando to San Francisco, like picked up my whole life, went there, quit my job and everything for her. And so I kind of was living off of her salary only at the moment. So she was my everything. So I relied on her for all of everything, bills, food, the whole thing. So I didn't want to say anything for a while. And then one night she was passed out drunk and her phone was blowing up, like so many different texts. And it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had just watched a Dr. Phil episode earlier that day about Ashley Madison because it was kind of new. This was like 2009, 2010.
And that's the website where you could go and cheat on your significant other.
Yes, and it was still new. It wasn't known as it is today. And I saw a bunch of guys' names on her phone, like Jack, AM, David, AM, Jeff, AM. And I was like, AM. And they were popping up. and they're like, "Oh, I miss you. I love you. Can't wait to take you to Hawaii." Like things like of that nature. And I was like, "What?" And I'm not the kind of person to go through someone's phone, but at that point, I was like, "I'm doing it."
So what is that initial feeling when you're reading this? Are you more confused or are you angry early?
I wasn't confused because I had that inkling that something was going down.
Why was there an inkling?
Because she was working a lot of late nights, and her job didn't require that to be working that late.
She worked at a daycare.
Well, she worked at a hotel, the Fairmont, down the street from where we were living in San Francisco. So, I mean, there were some times that events would happen and she'd have to work late, but not almost every single day.
So she just wasn't coming home. Would you see her when she would come home?
Sometimes I was asleep because I got to a point where I did get a job and I was working mornings in radio. So I would get up around 3 or 4 and we'd cross paths. As I was leaving for work, she'd be coming home. And I wasn't thinking. And I was like, why are you getting home at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning smelling like alcohol? But then one time it happened and I had it. That's when I went through the phone.
Okay, so you see all the AM, which stands for Ashley Madison.
Correct.
And are those texts or are those like DMs inside of the Ashley Madison account?
These are texts. So she's given her phone number to these people to reach out to her. Either they've been together in the past or they're setting up a meeting.
Okay. So she's employed by, because Ashley Madison, so she was on there trying to meet guys, but did they pay for it? No,
I don't think she was a prostitute.
No, exactly.
Oh, God. It's a different website. No, it's just a dating website.
It's just a dating website. Okay, sorry.
It's basically, it's all good. It's basically a way for people to cheat under the radar.
Okay.
Not anymore, obviously.
So what's your move once you start to see this?
So I see the texts and I get into her phone and I see more and more texts and I see the exchanges and I'm really upset. And then I'm starting to dig. Now I'm just curious.
Are there a lot of them?
A lot.
Over 10?
Under 10, but anything more than one's a lot in my opinion.
Okay.
I would say closer to 5 or 6.
Okay.
So then I notice on her email, she's got multiple emails, which we all have, like an Outlook, a Gmail, or whatever. But one of them has the name Chloe. Her name's not Chloe. And I'm like, what? Chloe something at Gmail. So I'm like, now I'm sleuthing. So I went through that email and I found pictures that she had sent to these guys in like lingerie, like very sexy thirst-dropping type photos. And I was at the point where I'd had it. And it had been a while of me kind of holding this on. And so I took those emails and I forwarded them to her father.
Nice.
Hold on a minute.
Power play.
Okay, hold on. Let me take one step back. Let me take one step back first.
Okay. All right.
Did you address this with her as you saw the text or the emails?
I didn't because she was out. Like she was.
Oh, you did all this in the span of like half an hour.
Yeah, 30 minutes or less. Yeah, it was like I escalated it pretty quickly.
Okay, but why her dad?
Why not?
That's pretty good.
Hey, listen, if you're gonna go,
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so why her dad? Really?
I feel like because he had kind of given me the talk before we got married. Like, hey, just want to give you a heads up. Great daughter and all, but she may be a little bit of this kind of a person. And I kind of took the advice.
Dad said his daughter was.
Yeah, and even my friends kind of gave me they're like, hey, you know how it is when you date somebody and someone tells you advice like, hey, I don't think this is a good situation. You shouldn't do this, or she is a bad person, or guy is a bad person. You don't want to hear it because you're in love. You're literally blocking out all the advice from your friends and family, which is what I did.
You had your friends and family telling you probably.
He had her family telling him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's next level. Huh.
Yeah, but I was like, you guys are wrong. I can change her. I can make her love me.
So you forward them to her dad in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Okay, then you go to work
Then go to work.
and you wait.
I wait. Life goes on for about a week.
A week.
Wow.
Pops didn't hit you up at 7 a.m. when he got up to get coffee.
He's like in his 50s, so he checks his email like once a week.
Okay,
So he checks his email.
but you don't say anything to her.
Don't
all
say
those
anything to
days?
her. I kind of let it blow over. Not really. For me, I like to let things play out because at this point, I caught her. And I knew I caught her, and I want to see what happens.
You were still sleeping in the bed with her, even though you caught her and you knew she was cheating.
Wasn't sleeping with her, but slept in the same bed. Yes.
Right? Did you ever kiss her?
No, we hadn't done it for almost a year at that point.
Okay.
So that was another
the
sign.
The whole marriage?
Pretty much.
Because they were married a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that you're waiting.
So we're waiting, and then all of a sudden one day I come home from work, and she's like, "What did you do? What did you do?" And I was like, "What?" I want to see what she had to say. She goes, "You sent my dad some photos." And I was like, "Whoa, it's besides the point. What did you do? What were you doing? And why were you sending these photos? It doesn't matter. You can't send it to my father." And I was like, "I don't care what you have to say at this moment. What you did is 100% wrong. We need to look at this issue and figure this out. What were you doing and why were you doing it?" Blew up, had this huge argument. And then we were looking at, we didn't have kids, and I wanted kids. And she's like, "You know what? I don't want kids anymore. I don't want to be with you." And I was like, "Great. Perfect. I don't want to be with you either." you're out. So I kicked her out of the apartment that she was paying for. Had to go stay with a friend, and I ended up living there. And then I got a raise at work and was able to afford it on my own for a while. But we had talked about it on the radio because I was working in morning radio at San Francisco, which of course was great content for the show. And then she was gone. And I'm the kind of person, if you do me wrong, I wipe you out of my life, and I never had to think about you, delete you from my life. You're gone. So at that moment, we were done and got the divorce going. I did all the work for the divorce, paid for it out of the very little bit of money that I had, and we were done. That was it.
What's she up to now?
I have no idea.
What she's doing now?
Could care less.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
She never said, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Never apologized, but wanted to make sure that when we were in San Francisco on the radio that I never mentioned her name, didn't say that it was her, even though everyone I was listening knew it was her because that's who I was married to.
Did she stay in San Francisco?
For a while she did, and then I eventually left San Francisco, so I don't know where she is at this moment.
What about her dad? Have you still talk to him?
We're still Facebook friends. He likes my photos, and he loves me. Like, him and I had a great relationship. That's the part that sucked. I was great with her family, but just not with her.
Well, if you look to the door here, come on in. Here she is.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Jerry.
Just didn't work out, and it's fine. And I, at the moment, of course, I was very upset, but I look at it now, and it was probably the best thing that happened to me because it pushed me into the next direction.
What about her attracted you and created such a blinder?
I think it was her looks, and I was young and stupid. I was 21 when we met, so I was young and dumb. Her looks, her body, and the way that she gave me attention that no one else gave me that kind of attention.
Yeah, she's giving that to a lot of folks.
Yeah,
She was good at that.
Oh, Chloe. Chloe had a special skill.
Is it hard for Scuba to talk about this? Because, I mean, it's hard to listen to.
No, he sounds like he's laughing about it the whole way through.
Well, because it's been how many years?
Oh, it's been 10 years, 11 years.
Does it hurt still?
No, it doesn't hurt at all. At the moment, I was crying when it happened, but because I didn't want to tell my family because I was hoping I could fix this, and of course couldn't. But now I could care less. It's just another chapter in my book.
I still have hope you can fix it.
No,
Reach out to her today. All right, Scuba, thanks for sharing.
Of course, man, anytime.
Isn't that a crazy story?
crazy.
Wow.
It almost is like so crazy it doesn't seem real. And the fact that he emailed her dad before telling
That's
her.
great. And then he just let it sit there let it marinate.
Woo! I would never have been able to let it marinate. It'd have been showtime immediately.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't go to the parents.
No, I would post it all on Instagram.
No, you would not.
Data dump. All
No,
right,
you
Luke
wouldn't.
Bryan, What She Wants Tonight. Not the most appropriate song here, but here you go.
Here's a